of people ask me what it's like, competing in the Arnold for the first time, or 2 weeks ago, I was fortunate enough to win my second pro show in California, the Flex Pro, and people say, what was it like to win the show, or what's it like to compete in the Arnold? And I don't know, a lot of it hasn't really sunk in yet, and you spend so much time training, preparing, sacrificing, in your personal life and day to day, and it all comes down to a matter of minutes on stage. It all comes and goes so quickly, and then afterwards you're kind of just standing there thinking, whoa, what the hell just happened? But last night was unbelievable. I've attended this show the past, I think it's 4 or 5 years now in a row, and sat in that audience and watched the guys compete, and sat there as a fan and as a bodybuilder, and just was in awe. So to stand on that stage, you're backstage and Arnold's there, and you see this whole production and the crowd and the lights, and it's pretty amazing. So people say, how do you feel about your 4th place finish, or are you happy? To stand on that stage amongst some of the greatest athletes in the world, Branch Warren, Dennis Wolf, Victor Martinez, Dexter Jackson, and to be competitive, to just simply stand on that stage is a dream come true. But then to actually be competitive with those guys is, I don't know, it doesn't even seem real. A lot of people are asking me, what are you going to do next? Are you going to do the Olympia? I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. I'm kind of the thing I look forward to the most is, like I said, you spend all this time getting ready, say 16 weeks, it doesn't sound like much. You break it down, that's 4 months, that's a third of the year. It's a lot of time away from your family, from people close to you. The thing I look forward to the most is getting back to them, to my fiance. We're expecting a baby girl in July. So even as fantastic as it was standing on that stage last night or winning the Flex Pro 2 weeks ago, the things I look forward to the most are things that probably a lot of people take for granted every day. Just being able to enjoy those close to you, or being able to enjoy your family. So when people ask me, how does this feel? How does that feel? I kind of want to ask them back, how does that feel? Being able to enjoy, do the things that you do every day, as much as maybe you look at what I do and admire, something I've accomplished. Some of the best things in life are the things that we all have, but most often take for granted. Why do I think that fish from Costco, namely tilapia, is crap? I think whether you buy fresh tilapia or you buy it from frozen, tilapia is a farm-raised fish. If you look at what they feed farm-raised fish, it's not very good. A lot of times they're fed animal byproducts, chicken byproducts, chicken parts, and they're swimming around in tanks and pools with sometimes dead fish or diseased fish, and they're, just crap in the water. So, if you are what you eat, then whatever you're eating is what it eats. Fish in the wild eat a natural diet, things that it's supposed to eat, and it's reflected in the macronutrient profile of that food. Cattle who are fed corn, it doesn't produce as good of a product as cattle that eats a natural diet of, say, grass and whatever. That stands to reason. But tilapia in particular, and if you look at it, the reason we eat fish is because it's supposed to, it has healthy fats, it reduces inflammation. Tilapia, on the other hand, not only is it, I mean, the amount of arachidonic acid in it from its diet and everything, you'd be better off eating bacon. It's not good for you. It's not healthy for you. If you're gonna eat fish, people buy tilapia because it's cheap. And a lot of times if something's cheap, there's a reason why it's cheap. I'm not saying to go just buy the most expensive thing because that's the best, but a lot of times you do get what you pay for. If you buy, a frozen bag, and a lot of frozen fish too, even in the supermarket, even say things like codfish, these are things that people don't know. They pump, they'll put it in a solution to plump it up. It'll have all sorts of retained water, sodium, all sorts of crap. So, A, you're paying for water weight. B, there's chemicals, it's a lot of shit. The more natural you can eat, the better. And your body responds better to natural foods, to, eating what it's supposed, when you feed it what it's supposed to have, it functions better. You wouldn't put diesel in a gasoline car. You shouldn't be putting crappy food in your body. The question was, how do I feel about, say like when it comes to my carbohydrate sources, brown rice versus white rice, white potato versus sweet potato, and everybody, it's a common thing. Say, well, I'm dieting for a show, or I'm trying to stay lean, so I got to have brown rice and I got to have sweet potato. See, for me, if I eat sweet potato, I feel like I look mushy, I look soft, I look harder and drier when I eat white potato. Same thing with white rice. I hate brown rice. I never eat brown rice. Getting ready for this show, I was probably eating 300-400 grams of carbs a day, all from white potato and white rice. And people think that, like, oh, those carbohydrates, they're high glycemic and they're going to make you fat. That's untrue. If you're training hard, brown rice, white rice, you should go with what digests well for you. For me, if I eat brown rice, I feel bloated. If I eat sweet potato, same thing. I feel kind of gassy. I don't feel as good. White potato, I feel like, boom, digests quickly. It's efficient. It works well for me. And you can't, you read things in magazines. You read, well, this guy eats this, and this guy eats that. And, all bodybuilders should do this or they should do that. That's all bullshit. Because if eating a certain food doesn't make you feel well, or you don't like how it makes you look, or you just have a feeling that it's not right for you, don't do it. Don't do it just for the sake of doing it. Listen to yourself. If your body tells you it's no good, it's no good. And if it tells you it's good, it's gotta be good. The question is high intensity training versus volume training and how I feel. I think when it comes to training, I think anything can work and will work for a limited period of time. And that being said, I think it's important to incorporate different styles of training all the time. I'm a big believer in basic compound movements, squats, deadlifts, bench press, and I'll do them with high intensity. But then maybe, even within that same workout, I'll incorporate more volume on isolation movements. There'll be workouts where I come in and maybe I do, for legs, maybe I'll do a total of maybe 8 sets, six or 8 sets, done. There'll be others where I'll do 15 or 16. Rarely, but I'll do, if I feel like I need to do something different, I do it. I think anything can work. I mean, when you look back at past bodybuilding champions, I mean, the guys in Arnold's era, they were training 4 hours a day. They were training everything 3 times a week. So, and they looked phenomenal, for that time period. I'm sure, now things have evolved in terms of nutrition, the knowledge is greater, but the training itself, the guys in the 80s and 90s, they looked fantastic. Lee Haney, he wasn't a high intensity guy. Probably had the best, in my opinion, he had the greatest physique of all time. But on the same note, I mean, Dorian Yates, he was a bad man. And, he had a rugged physique. And he kind of started the whole high intensity craze, and it makes sense in a lot of ways too. There's definitely parts of both. that I like, definitely parts of both that make sense, and I think you should incorporate each accordingly as it makes sense to you. Some people, when they do high intensity, it beats up their central nervous system a little too much, but like I said, I think you should incorporate both, and I think it's just like food. Your diet should contain a variety of things, a variety of protein sources, a variety of fruits and vegetables. You do the same thing all the time, you're gonna become stagnant. You're gonna end up with a lousy result. So I think training, nutrition, you should vary what you do to have success. The question is, what do I find to be the hardest part of bodybuilding, the training or the diet? For me, it's the diet, not following the diet, because that's the easy part. But all the food preparation, always having the right food with you. Training, it's not easy, but it's easier to go in the gym and give it all you got for an hour and a half. But diet, the lifestyle, doing everything outside of the gym, if you train, let's say you're a hero, you train for 2 hours a day, and let's just say you were Superman and you train every day of the week, that's 14 hours out of 100 plus hours in the week. It's all those other hours that are going to depend on whether or not you have success. So to really live the bodybuilding lifestyle and to eat proper food and always be on top of it, and it's, you come to say an event like this, and I don't know, maybe you don't bring your food with you, you miss 3 or 4 days of your diet, now you got to go back home, and you got to get back first to where you were when you left. So you got to play catch up, and then those were 3 days that you could have been progressing. So really, those 3 days turned into like a week plus. So it's about consistency, day to day, always being on, and never being off your game. So training, you could always, no matter where you are, you can go find a gym, you can go train, but the food and everything, the lifestyle itself requires a lot more preparation, and I think for me, is easy to say, is definitely more challenging. The question is, what's the best way to maintain your strength and energy during the last few weeks of contest preparation? I think the key to that is not starting your diet too far out of shape. This year I learned a valuable lesson, and I didn't get too far out of shape in the off season. And during the course of the diet, the most cardio I did, for the most part, was usually a half an hour a day. And I could probably count on 2 hands the number of times I did 2 sessions of cardio. But I trained as hard as I could, as heavy as I could. I ate a lot of food. The key, I think, is to maintain your metabolism. When you're trying to get in shape, a lot of times people's first instinct is say, all right, well, I'll increase my activity, I'll do more cardio, and I'll decrease my caloric intake. So all you're doing really is you're gonna tell your body it's starving, and it's gonna just start hoarding calories and not want to give them up. But if you can continue to train hard and feed your body, you're gonna keep your metabolism that much higher. So to get back to the question, if you're doing all those things and you're starting your diet in decent shape and you're eating a lot of food, come time 2 weeks before the show, you're probably going to be eating more. I was eating more 2 weeks before the show than I was 10 weeks before the show. And honestly, my strength was increased. I was using poundages that I typically use in my off season. That tells me I did my diet correctly. Whereas in the past, you get to 2 weeks out and you're like, oh, I feel destroyed. And the weight you're using is, a fraction of what it was in the off season. That tells you you're losing muscle. I want to thank you guys. Really appreciate you guys coming and checking it out. And I'll see you guys soon.